Hi, it's Katrina. From their bad reputation to their intelligence and curiosity, here are 11 amazing facts about great white sharks. Number 11. They go through over 1,000 teeth. At any time in their life, a great white shark can have up to 300 teeth, which are arranged in 7 rows. Each tooth is pointed, razor sharp, and up to 3 inches long. The teeth aren't strong, however, and they come out pretty easily. In order to reuse the calcium, the shark will swallow the teeth that fall out as often as possible. When a great white loses a tooth, the rest of its teeth move forward to fill in the space, which is why you'll never see a gap. Within a day, the space at the back of the shark's mouth is filled with a new tooth. That's how, in their entire lifetime, a great white can go through over 1,000 teeth. Despite regular tooth loss, great whites do not experience tooth decay. Their teeth are coated in an acid-resistant chemical and are very hard. This gives them their nice, pearly white smile. Number 10. They can live over 100 years. The ocean's most feared predator lives for a long time. Until 2017, the generally accepted estimated lifespan of the great white shark was 70 years. According to a National Geographic article published last year, however, a new and more accurate method of measuring the ages of sharks shows that many shark species may live decades longer than previously thought. Traditionally, scientists have determined a shark's age by counting the growth rings on its vertebrae. Recently, something called carbon bomb dating emerged as a more reliable method. Great whites are among the several species of sharks that are now thought to be able to live much longer than originally believed, sometimes up to 100 years. But so far, we still don't know their true lifespan. And now for number 9. But first, if you are new here, welcome! And be sure to subscribe and join the Origins Explained family. Number 9. They have very strong senses. Great whites have 6 highly refined senses of hearing, touch, taste, sight, smell, and electromagnetism, which I'll tell you more about in a bit. While sharks have had millions of years to develop these senses, the sense of smell of a great white is exceptional. Smithsonian Ocean reports that a great white can smell a single drop of blood floating in 10 billion drops of water. Scientists believe a great white can smell a tiny quantity of blood from up to 3 miles away. Their nostrils on the underside of the snout are connected to an organ called the olfactory bulb. It is the largest of any shark. They also have a lateral line which helps them perceive vibrations in the water. Sharks can detect potential prey from about 820 feet away. Another very interesting fact is that live sharks are repelled by dead ones. When a shark dies, it gives off a chemical that other sharks can detect, and they will stop whatever they're doing and start moving in the opposite direction. Studies and documentaries aired during Shark Week showed that great whites are no different, and a dead great white found washed up on shore was removed immediately so that scientists could continue their study. All great whites in the area they had been focusing on were gone. This is not only an amazing survival mechanism to help sharks stay away from danger, but it can also be an effective repellent that could safely protect divers, surfers, and swimmers so we could all live in peace. Chemical engineers and marine biologists are concentrating extracts of dead sharks, and so far, it has been very successful. Number 8. Largest predatory fish. Although great whites are not the largest shark species, that would be the whale shark, they carry the distinction of being the largest known predatory fish on Earth. They eat marine mammals that weigh several hundred pounds, or even larger on a regular basis. These giants range in length from 11 feet to the biggest ones reaching 22 feet. They can weigh between 1,145 and 5,000 pounds. Females are usually larger than males. On average, females grow around 15 to 16 feet long, while males usually reach somewhere between 11 and 13 feet. As a general comparison, a great white shark is typically 3 times the size of an adult human, but they look a lot bigger and stronger in the water. Number 7. They have a 6th sense. Despite their remarkable sense of smell and ability to detect chemicals, it's not usually the primary hunting tool of a great white shark. Instead, they find food using electroreception. They are extremely sensitive to electric fields and can detect a charge from a single flashlight battery connected to electrodes 16,000 kilometers apart. Great white sharks will react to charges of 1/millionth of a volt in the water. The sensory organs of sharks are made up of ampullae of Lorenzini. Many marine species have this, including sharks, rays, and others. In great whites, the location of the ampullae of Lorenzini can be identified by the dark spots on its face. These are the pores that lead to the organs, which are filled with a jelly-like substance. Ampullae of Lorenzini enable great whites to detect electromagnetic fields emitted by all living creatures when they move. This is why shark experts tell you to hit a shark in the nose if they get too close or if you feel threatened. They get a sensory overload if you touch them on their snout with your hand or with a rod, so you will often see photographers and underwater camera people guiding them away in a gentle manner. Number 6. They roll their eyes. To protect their eyes from getting damaged, great whites roll them into the back of their head whenever they're attacking. Their eyes don't have protective membranes or eyelids, therefore great whites can't close their eyes. Instead, they roll them back and are unable to see their prey while attacking. Although the great white is considered the ocean's most vicious predator, they oftentimes don't emerge from a confrontation unscathed. Most of the time, their bodily wounds heal, but an eye injury could cause permanent blindness. Therefore, rolling their eyes into the back of their head provides the great white with the necessary protection. Surprisingly, their position of apex predator of the sea could be changing as more and more great whites are getting attacked and killed by orcas. Number 5. They must move constantly. Great white sharks breathe using a process called ram ventilation. Water rams into their mouth as they swim and exits through the gills, extracting the necessary oxygen. If a great white stops moving, it will therefore stop breathing and die. The requirement to constantly move is perhaps one of the great white's weaknesses. Other marine animals who are aware of this need, such as killer whales, will hold a great white still to kill it. Having to swim non-stop is also a reason that great white sharks cannot be kept in captivity. They often become restless when they have limited space, and this restlessness can lead to death. Great whites are able to remain on the go while they're asleep because their movement is regulated by their spinal cords rather than their brains. If sharks sleep at all, which is a whole other debate. To learn more, be sure to check out the video on most fascinating shark behavior when you finish this one. Number 4. They migrate great distances. These large sharks are highly migratory. Besides having to swim constantly to stay alive, great white sharks travel great distances for seasonal food, for their young, and sometimes to congregate in the middle of nowhere for no known reason. Northeastern Pacific great whites will feed on elephant seals along the California coast for about 6 months. Then in December, the sharks swim to a meeting spot halfway to Hawaii, and satellite images show an oceanic desert. So why are they meeting there? They dive down nearly 1,500 feet several times a day. They have a whole secret life we know nothing about. The longest recorded migration of any fish was a great white shark's journey from South Africa to Australia. Others have been known to travel lesser but still impressive distances, including from the Hawaiian Islands to California. Over 9 months, one great white that was being tracked by scientists swam a total of 12,400 miles, an average of 45 miles per day. Number 3. Bad reputation. According to the International Shark Attack File, great white sharks are responsible for the most attacks on humans. In the past 400 years, the species has reportedly attacked 314 humans, supposedly without provocation. 80 of the attacks were fatal. However, great whites are extremely curious animals and are attracted to splashing and noise. The problem is that they will often take exploratory bites to figure out what something is, and due to their extremely large size, the exploratory bite is enough to be fatal. Jaws and public hysteria has given us an almost irrational fear of sharks. Many scientists believe that the great white shark has been unfairly vilified because we just don't understand them, and a lot of people are just scared of the ocean in general and what might be lurking below. However, you are more likely to suffer from a dog bite or get struck by lightning than to fall victim to a shark attack. In fact, considering the waters people tend to swim in, great whites could arguably attack humans much more often than they actually do, suggesting that we are not appealing as food. Believe it or not, we humans are a much bigger threat to these sharks than they are to us, since they are often caught as accidental catch or targeted fisheries because of their highly valued jaws and fins. Number 2. They aren't picky eaters. Some animal species have a reputation for being willing to eat pretty much anything, and the great white shark is one of them. They prefer tuna, dolphins, whales, seals, sea turtles, and seabirds, but will eat fish, including other sharks. Sometimes great whites even eat sea snakes and crocodiles. Great whites also scavenge from time to time by relying on their strong sense of smell to find fast food, creatures that have died and are floating in the ocean. This is why they are so important to the ecosystem. They love greasy food as well. Researcher Peter Klimley discovered this by hanging pig, seal, and sheep carcasses in waters known to be inhabited by great whites. While the high-fat pig and seal carcasses were popular choices for feasting, the sharks showed little to no interest in the leaner sheep meat. This is good news for us humans, who would be a poor meal choice for great whites due to our low fat content compared to many other species available for their indulgence. Human trash, boat parts, and other non-edible objects have also been found among the contents of their stomachs. Great whites feed by tearing their food into chunks and swallowing the chunks whole, leaving us to wonder if they even bother to taste their prey. Well, fatty food is tasty. In just one meal, great whites consume up to a quarter of their body weight. They can go weeks without eating afterward, much like some of nature's fiercest land predators. Number 1. Their behavior is largely a mystery. Scientists and researchers have been unable to fully understand some of the great white shark's behaviors. For one, the mostly solitary animals intermittently reunite with other members of its species. Great whites meeting and traveling in groups typically avoid dominance battles and conflict. In certain places, however, distinct hierarchies exist. For example, great whites living in the waters around Africa follow a specific system. Females dominate over males, larger sharks over smaller ones, and established residents over newcomers. Others have learned to jump out of the water and slam down onto their prey, usually seals, to stun them and then eat them. One of the reasons the behavior of great whites is still a topic of mystery is because it's not possible to place them in captivity for observation. Great white sharks have historically failed to survive in closed environments for various reasons, including the stress caused by limited space. Past attempts at confining great whites have resulted in sharks refusing to swim, refusing to eat, and developing dangerous skin conditions. Every great white shark that has been placed in captivity has either died or been released within hours or days. Therefore, almost everything researchers have learned about the predator, other than what conditions it can't survive in, has been gleaned from observing them in their natural environments. Scientists continue to learn new things about the great white shark that disprove what we thought we knew about them until now. Recent findings suggest that they aren't as vicious as they're rumored to be, and they may be more intelligent than we ever thought. Thanks for watching! I hope you learned something new today. Let me know what you liked the most in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, there's plenty more where this came from. See you soon! Bye!